Ah, hello, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode on the Dare to Rest podcast. Today is another precious one, and I know I say that at the beginning of each podcast, but I really, really do love having these conversations with beautiful people. And today we have a very special guest. It is a very dear former client of mine who have, I want to say, greatly transformed her life by applying the rest method to her life. Maybe she doesn't exactly know that this is what she did, but inside the Dare to Rest world, we work with a 3P trifecta called peace, power, potential. And this woman who's here today to share her story has embodied this at a level that just gives me full body chills. So, I'm very, very, very excited to introduce to you all Jenni, who is not only a super ambitious woman for herself, but also in her role as a mother, as a romantic partner to her man, and in her role of being the CEO in her own business. So, just like you and me and all the other wonderful women listening, she's a woman who's decided for herself that she doesn't want to settle in life in any way, which is why she fits in so perfectly to my world. And I'm so happy that our roads crossed. So, Jenni, come on here and say hello.
Hi, Mette.
How are we feeling?
Well, I have goosebumps all over, and I'm so excited to be here and to share the the journey I've been on for
Mm,
yeah some
I
years
love that.
now. Mm,
And I think we both feel it. I literally do have full body chills, and it's really fun how that is so contagious. Even though we're not sitting in the same room, it's the energy, and I always know that when I have those full body chills, something amazing is gonna come through.
mm,
So what we want to do with this episode is really to share, a normal human story about how you can actually transform your own life when you are willing to show up for yourself. And you get to share a lot of your story, but I really want you to tell us, where were you 3 or is it 4 years ago? Just take us back to that situation and briefly say, who were you, the woman in those shoes, 3, 4 years ago?
Well, 3 years ago in February, I was full-time staffed as an interior design consultant at the university in Aalborg. And at that time, I was partly on sick leave due to stress. And I decided to only be part time because I needed to figure out what was causing the stress. And that is also in regards to having been full time on sick leave before, also due to stress. So this time around, I needed to know and feel what the triggers were.
Mm-hmm.
And and I in the beginning of February I started to scale up my hours again, and within 10 days I felt enormous pressure, and I felt insecure, and also I was wondering, why is this happening to me? And at that time I had started to do body SDS, and that day she said to me, Jenny, what have you been doing today? Your back is like, it's like a gitter, like you've been sitting up some against something. She took a picture of it, and I was like, I don't know. And I started to wonder, what was that? And at the end of that session, I knew it was my body screaming for me to do something else. And later that evening, my best friend called me and she was like, okay, how are you doing? How's life? And I told her, okay, if I haven't resigned this job in the end of March, this was the beginning of February, you need to come and really just Yeah, smack me. Because this is not good for me. I'm choosing something that's making me sick. Um, and as I hang up the phone and my boyfriend was listening into the conversation, he says, "But why wait? Why in the end of March when we are in the beginning of February? Have you made the decision?" And I said, "Yes. So why wait?" And I think it was in that time that I really saw my boyfriend as being the anchor
Mm-hmm.
in my life, the one I rely on to lift me when I'm on the floor. And I was on the floor. You saw the picture. That
Mm-hmm.
picture was taken the same day. And I know that uh, I didn't feel ready because we had already discussed that the next step for me was to go into self-employment and start my own business, or at least scale it to be 100%. And but I was scared because it was not according to my plans. I had a vision, and all of a sudden that vision just shredded it, and I needed to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at that time I wasn't conscious about it. I became conscious alongside my business, but I was not conscious of what was ahead of me at that time.
I so recognize that. And you know this, and a lot of people know this as well. I also have a stress story behind me. Mine goes a lot of years back, though, before stress really became popular. But what I just want to say here is this is the story I always hear. We feel like, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with what you did and what I did, but so often we feel that it's the job that's making me sick. And though it definitely has a huge impact on our life, I have also had to come to terms with the fact that it had very little to do with the job and very much to do with me knowing myself, my ability to lead myself. And again, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone here because I did this myself, but the easy version is to say it's the job. Can you recognize that?
Yeah, because maybe I had some idea on what was in coming in for me because a year prior to that, I felt like I needed something else. I was missing something and I couldn't put my finger on it. I needed to develop um, my staff as a consultant, but I also need to develop how do you say in a matter of what I like to do or love to do. So I felt like my passion was being suppressed,
Mm-hmm.
and but I didn't know it was that.
Exactly.
So I at that point I actually participated in an advisory board about sustainability, and I felt like I had that revival at that time. So that helped me, and I know that now that I am so ambitious for myself. I always strive to be better. I always strive to learn, and that was the same aspect in this part. So it wasn't the job that was making me sick. It was my choices not to take action on the stress part that was making me sick.
And now I have full body chills again because it's that level of ownership that we have to come to terms with. And I'm not saying that there definitely can be things in our environment that is unhealthy for us or is not, you can say, supportive for us in being the version of ourselves that we want to be, but we are responsible for our own lives. And sometimes that feels fucking big, yet that's sort of what we have to come to terms with by the fact that we chose to be here humaning at this time in the human evolution. So I really appreciate you being honest enough to say that because as I said, it is so much easier to blame the stress on something or someone else external from us. So that's just epic. But that was 3 years ago, and I really just want to applaud you for being brave enough to come on here and share it. It's the first time ever you're sharing so publicly this story, and it's the first time you're ever on a podcast. I just want to say you're doing amazing. So we'll go deeper into this because after this realization and you having that knees to the floor kind of moment, you realized, okay, something has to change. What did you do? How did you come back to, you can say, your power and to unfold all that potential that you felt was there available for you?
Well, I didn't know I was missing my power actually, and I didn't know that I was missing that connection to my consciousness about who I am as me, not as everybody else, but just as me. And it took some time after I started my, or at least from that time when I was 100% self-employed. I went out and it was busy from day one, so I didn't have time to go into that matter. So I did what I do well. I worked. I strive to be the best. I had time to actually be with my son, which I very much appreciated. And I had the feeling of being the homebody that could be a career mom and a businesswoman, and also be the one who took care of the household. So my boyfriend had the ability to do what he wanted to do as well. So it took me about 8 months in where I decided to turn down from the assignments, starting to say no in December of 23. I was so busy and my son was sick, and I didn't have the time to say no to the assignment. So I called in for reinforcements from the grandparents to take care of him. And then I said to my mother, it was not supposed to be like this. I
Mm,
was supposed to be able to take care of him when he got sick. So again, we turned it down, and then we went into fertility treatment in January. So the turning down of the time was very conscious. I needed to take care of myself. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. And that journey also taught me something, like being grateful for what I have, for what have uh, come to me naturally, which my son did. Uh, and it was very tough on me. I had a lot of inner dialogues with what to do and how to navigate. And then the course of Mind Your Own Business turned up, and I was very skeptical
mm,
because I didn't know what it was. It was the beta version, and I was not sure that what I was looking for were this, but I had the time to do it, and I was so committed to dive deep and see what could be in it for me. And I thought it was about running your business.
hmm. Can we just, I
Uh,
just want
yeah.
to, let's just pause and just tell people what Mind Your Own Business is. So a few years ago, I did a collaboration with a wonderful woman called Line, a course called Mind Your Own Business, which really and it was really fun because we were really intentional with the name. We wanted it to sound like it was something different from what it was, and then people would get that surprise because a lot of you who joined that first course had the idea that this has to do with business, but what you found out was the business was not about your business, but you were your own business. And that really was your game changer, to say the least.
Exactly. And I thought, I think it was in also in course two or something like that, we learned about human design. And I know before that, Lena had like posted at me and said, "Well, you are definitely a manifesting generator." And I was like, "What is that?" And when I figured out what it was, and I had the reading with you, I was floored, surprised, and relieved. Because the relief came in understanding how I had navigated through life until this point. And it just, there were so many aha moments, like trying to fit in people's boxes, not feeling like you were part of a crowd, which was the definition of my childhood. And then starting getting my first job and always wanting to please people, always wanted to strive to be better, never standing up for myself and saying no because you were raised to think that it was not polite. uh, so I mean that was definitely the game changer for me, where understanding just on the top layer of what my human design was,
Mm.
and it gave me a permission slip to let go of past griefs and
Mm-hmm.
just say, well, I'm like this. I can't change it. It is who I am, but I would like to navigate ahead knowing what I know now.
Mm. Yeah. And that's the powerful thing. I also I never not share this. I love human design as well. But from that perspective that you just said as well, it's not about getting the label that I am a manifesting generator or I am a 2-4 or a 4-6 or a 3-5 or whatever. It really is to understand how do I work and function best. And then with that knowledge, how do I actually lead myself? Because we don't want any labels to ever restrict us or to limit us in any way. I really want us to see it as these pieces of information of with this knowledge, how can I then amplify myself? How can I amplify my potential? And how can I allow myself, more of myself, to actually come to the table? Because that is one of the key points of actually feeling stress that we are not aware of. Whenever we restrict ourselves and we feel contracted, we don't speak our truth, that leaves these stressful imprints in our body that we are not really that aware of. And eventually, that is what builds up. And that's when we start pointing our fingers towards the world, saying, oh, it's the job, it's the man, it's the relationship, it's something, something, something. But it's all those small chunks of ourselves that we have really left behind that eventually feel stressful because we deeply in ourselves feel that we are not whole, and that when we're not whole, we can't unfold that passion that you also talked about, which is why human design, and you can say all the work in general of personal development and personal growth, is so empowering, because that's actually what we're doing. We're picking up all these pieces of ourselves that we unknowingly and unwillingly left behind, and now here we are. I'm picking up the pieces, and from that point, you get to decide who you want to be. So your journey
Exactly.
really has been a reclamation of your power, and human design was a huge chunk of that.
It was the, yeah, the pivot moment of me wanting to know more and me searching for methods and different people that at different times could give me what I was looking for. So I
Mm.
have spent the last yeah, 2 years almost just putting in that knowledge back, just trying different approaches, trying different coaches, some of them being working on gratitude and mindset, others being more on the spiritual side, which I really have deep anchored in me as well. It's not something I broadcast every day. It's for me and only me. I don't need to share it. I did with you now, but the
The
spirituality of
world
me
knows.
is, yeah, but the spirituality of me is actually my driving force. So I have tried different things. And last summer I did something, yeah, changing again. I started to wake up at 5 o'clock and
Mhm.
go for my morning walk, practicing gratitude and jumping into the water. And I did that every day for a month, and it stuck with me,
Mm.
or at least till the end of September, and then it got cold or something. But I still wake up at 5, and I discovered the power it gives me to be calm and open to receive for my boys when they wake up. So
Mm-hmm.
when my son is awake, before that, I was definitely a B person, if you can call that. I'd like to sleep in late. I do that sometimes as well. But the possibility of giving me a solid grounding in the morning before they wake up just give me a better opportunity to be the best version of me, actually. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I love that. And it also gives them the possibility to bond without me. Because sometimes my son wakes up early and he doesn't want me then because I have all my gym clothes on and he's like, Mom, you need to take a shower before I hug you. So he gets that with his father. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, he's rejecting me. And I was like, no, he's not rejecting me. He's choosing his father. And that is amazing. And I love that. And I let them be. So yeah, it's giving in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still with me every day. I went for a walk this morning, and the stars were out. The sun is beginning to come up at just right before 5:30, and it is amazing. Yeah,
Mm. Mm. And this is another key. And I think it's not just specifically for women, but a lot of women feel this, that it is, we fear putting ourselves first. We actually fear that that will make us miss out. We fear that it will make us a bad person. I actually remember in that Mind Your Own Business, in the first round, I said to some of you that you need to become the most important person in your own life. And I remember one of the women participating. She was so triggered by that sentence. She, not that she had like an explosion, but she just could not cope with the fact that putting herself in front of her children, in front of her husband, would, for her, it felt like an identity crisis. Just, I cannot be that woman, because if I am that woman, I am selfish. No one will love me. And all those fears that we have, just they came up for her. And every single time I work with women and men as well, actually, when we really embrace that fact that we get to be the most important person in our own life, that's when life changes. And now I know what the episode is going to be called. I love that. Because this is the crucial thing. Because until we really get to that stage of saying, I get to be the most important, we will continue to drop our boundaries. We will not speak our truth. We will not be honest about what our genuine desires and passions are. We will not love ourselves. We will not make space for ourselves. So that really is the turning point. And that's what you did. And for you, it was waking up at 5 a.m. And when I hear you say that, I'm like, fuck no, that's not my version. And that's why it's so beautiful that we have all the opportunities to be inspired and to take on these different approaches and tools. Because for me, waking up at 5 a.m. is so associated with the most stressful period of my life where I never slept. And I love waking up without an alarm. That's freedom for me. But for you, freedom is waking up at 5, having that spaciousness for yourself. And that's why it's so important that we actually get to try on all these different things. And I love what you just said here, that you've been trying different coaches, you've been trying different approaches, because that's the thing. We need to figure out how to actually build and create that life for ourselves. We don't just want to pick up a recipe from someone else. We get to try the different ingredients and then figure out what is my recipe. And this
and then
really,
I think the cue is to know when to pause and take it in and start navigating with what you know, because I have also went through a period where I wanted to learn more and more and more, and then all of a sudden I had chaos in my head. So you can navigate through some methods and try to yeah, put them into your daily life, but it also knowing that, okay, at this moment I don't need any. And I think that was a big learning for me, because all of a sudden, all of these offers that came in from the network that I joined here in Oberg, uh, at the moment I was saying, no, thank you, that's not for me. And it felt so good. So knowing the fact that you can learn a lot of stuff, but it's not all that you are meant to move on with or take with you further. It's okay to say, okay, this becomes too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a very important thing also to learn from this.
Yeah, from this exactly, and that really comes back, in my mind at least, to the fact that we learn to live with the mind. We learn that knowledge is good, and more knowledge is good, and knowledge is power, and all the things. So we are so insistent on getting to the bottom of thing and analyzing thing and needing to know everything. But embodiment is power, really. It doesn't change anything until we take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you a question, because this is something that often comes up, and we briefly talked about this before actually starting to record this episode. So often when we feel that drive, like something has to shift, something has to change, we sort of dip our toe in the water. Maybe we go to a women's circle just once. Maybe we go to an event just once, and oh, it feels so good, and we're really hoping that this changes everything, and we just had to do it once, and now everything will feel better. Like, mm, just a little drop of something can change everything. But what I've come to realize is it definitely is beneficial to show up for those one-off things, but to really shift our life and become that I'm the most important person in my life, and to allow ourselves to unfold our potential and our passion, it takes a dedication to say, this is actually how I'm going to start to live. So I would love it if you would share, how did you go from, you can say, that first course, which that was already a longer one. Um, but how did you go from that, instead of just saying after that course, now I'm done? How did you lead yourself and say, I'm going to continue to do this? So take us through that.
Yes. Well, actually, after we finished that, you had the other course on getting a little bit deeper into human design, and I didn't feel like I knew enough to go ahead. So I went on that course as well, and it gave me some perspective on the things, and it still wasn't enough. I felt like I needed to know my human design fully. But what people don't know about human design, it's like endless learning. I think
Yes.
it will take me forever, and I am not that persistent all the time. So I needed to figure out, okay, so when is it enough for me? And yeah, I think I took a break from it through the fall of 24, and I had my business scaled a little bit again. I had an assignment that I needed to take care of, so I think I left it there, and I didn't pursue anything else. But it also left me with a gap that I was not done. That it wasn't enough. I needed to know something more. And then I can't remember exactly when that was. Maybe it was in February of 25. There was I discovered meta health, if you will translate it into that,
Mm-hmm.
alongside human design. And I booked another reading with another person, and I was like, but she's going to tell me the same. But that was when I discovered what my profile line actually meant for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't discover that with you because I wasn't aware of that was a thing. But you told me that I was a networker and I was good at socializing, and I'm like, yeah, I knew that. But then she told me what my profile line actually meant, and I was like, oh my God. So I've been missing some key elements here, and now I found a new way to work on it again, and I'm also became aware of the mental health issues that I had, and yeah, that also gave me some knowledge or some curiosity to say, okay, so how can I work with that? What is this all about? And for mine, it was very much about me as a woman, as a female, accepting uh, all the female things you have to go through in life.
Mm-hmm.
Along that is menstruation, if you will dive into that. And I have struggled with a lot of pain. I still do, and it is because of acceptance and trying to navigate through that. And that was knowledge that I got at the same time that we went in for our last trial, fertility, and that didn't happen. And when that didn't happen, I was like, I don't know if I felt free. I was incredibly sad because it didn't happen for us. But then I was also relieved because it was a hard struggle, and I needed to even more take care of myself and maybe discover even more what all the issues were about. So you discover one thing and then you try to navigate to the next point where
Mm-hmm.
you put in some more knowledge. So I'm constantly, well, not constantly, for because as of last summer I discovered I don't need much more now. So yeah, always striving to know more about yourself, to be conscious and work with the issues that troubles you.
Mm. Yeah, and you, I think you said the key words, being continually curious and allowing yourself to follow those nudges
Mm,
of, ooh, this is interesting. Because let's just face the fact that we are all bombarded with information constantly in this world. But some of those things, they really stand out. And it's not like we're sitting down figuring out, thinking, ooh, I want to learn XYZ, and then I go in this direction. So often it's something that hits us and we feel, ooh, something pulls me, like there's a string at the top of your chest that just pulls you towards it. And that's what I hear you said. You allowed yourself to go with the flow and also continually tuned into that feeling of I don't want to hit that level of overwhelm, because we also know where that leads. And information overload is definitely a thing we all have to learn how to navigate.
exactly.
How did it feel to do and place those investments? What did it feel like in your body?
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. Uh, they have not all been easy to
Mm-hmm.
make decisions. Um, Maybe because deep inside of me, or at least that's what I'm figuring out, I've been afraid to discover the next layer. So I've
Mm-hmm.
trying to be able to hold it down. But something I've also figured out is that maybe for a long ride of my life, the victim card has played a big role in the stories or the narrative that I have used to say about, yeah, my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and what I've learned to accept and be grateful about is that everybody navigates with the resources that they have. Nobody's here to uh, pull you down. I also learned that you cannot hand me and a challenge without me making it. I'm supposed to make it through all the challenges that lies ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the latest thing I have discovered that maybe a month ago is that I am not supposed to do everything like everybody else. I
Mm-hmm.
am supposed to uh, invent my own thing. So for a long time, I've been looking out for to other business owners and other female entrepreneurs to see what are they doing, what are they successful with. And then this woman who reads hands told me a month ago, but Jenny, you're not supposed to do it like everybody. So please stop doing that. Do it the way you want to do it, because you can make a straight pathway through complexity. Know that. And that was written in my hands. And as she said, you have your DNA in your hands from 3 or was it 5 months before you're born.
Mhm.
So that is the new thing. Yeah.
And that was probably also the very first sentence I said to you when I told you you are manifesting generator and this is how you're supposed to live life. And I love how you just spun that angle as well, because this is why I feel it's so important to continue to lean in. Because if we just show up for something once, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, on our own shoulders to really like, I have to get everything and I have to get the outcome. I need to understand it all, I need to remember it all, and then I have to have all the outcome. But we are not readily available to take it all in at one time. And that's why it's so important to continue to lean in, because we hear different things. And I even sometimes do that with some of all the I even sometimes listen to my own trainings, but also trainings that I get from my mentors. I listen to them repeatedly because different things land at different times. And sometimes even it's the same thing that lands, but just on a deeper level or a higher level, depending where you want to go.
Mm.
So it's so important to really continue to lean into those teachers, your mentors, your people of inspiration, because that's how we continue to unfold that potential that we feel that we have as these ambitious people.
Exactly. You need to lean in, but also somewhat have an anchor that will hold you as you're leaning into the unknown.
Mm.
Yeah,
Grounded to grow,
exactly.
which is
Exactly.
another mantra in the Dare to Rest world, which is exactly why that exists.
Ex-
So, Jenni, you have transformed so formidably over the past 3 years. I'm curious about one thing. What's your next edge?
Um, well, I am very much trying to navigate the business part of my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to somehow see how my human design profile fits with the things I struggle with in my business. So that I'm looking into. And then I heard a quote today, which left me a little bit, yeah, numb. And it was, what you perceive is what you receive. So I need to be aware of how I look at things. In order for things to come to me, I need to shift my perception and look more positive on outcome and possibilities, because and also be grateful for every possibility that I get, because everything that comes your way, it's a possibility to learn and grow. So that is, I think the quote is stuck with me and should be written out and be in your face every day for the next, yeah, period of time, because it really shifted something in me. And then also in regards to the spirituality, I feel like I'm heading for something bigger, even though at the moment my business is at its lowest it has been for 3 years. And for me, it teaches me patience, but also the confidence that I have struggled with throughout my life. One of my mentors told me the other day, but it's not about your competence. You have what it takes, but it's the industry and the business. And that is where you get creative to look at some other possibilities that you have yet to discover. And then again, I remind me, I'm not supposed to do it like everybody else. I'm supposed to do it my own way, and need to trust that all I know is enough for other people to receive what I can help them with.
Mm, I love that. And your approach of having done this work, though you also said in your story that when you first realized something has to change, you went deep into just work, 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 and then you figured out, ooh, that's not the way. I actually have to work on myself. And now that your foundation has been built, you've found a way of, you can say, reclaiming your peace, owning your power. That's where you say, okay, so how can I bring this potential of myself into my business, which I believe oh, is the exact right way of doing it, though you get to do it, of course, your own way. I have no fear for you. I know that your business is going to make a huge impact on so many people, and I hope we stay close and I get to really continue to watch all these different levels of you unfold because it really is my pleasure. So with that, Jenni, I want to thank you so much for being here. It was an honor. And thank you for letting me take your podcast virginity. I love that.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story, because I've been hiding in the bushes and not wanting to share it. But if my story can help somebody else, I will be, yeah, happy.
And I'm sure it will. It always is. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. This feels so good. I've had so many full body chills during this episode, and I hope everyone felt it. It was true and honest, as always. So thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode.